Hello? Hello? Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Julie.
Hi. How's
Hello.
it going? Just waiting for everybody to join. So how is everybody's week going?
Okay, how about you?
Pretty good. So far, so good.
Good, I'm not hearing.
Yeah, is everybody able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the people who are learning how to knit, how did it go the last couple of weeks?
Very good. Yeah. Let me see.
Oh,
Ooh, looking good.
that's good.
Okay. Getting the hang of it, I guess.
Nice, nice. And Karen, how's it going?
I have this much.
Oh, that's awesome. That looks great.
Thank you. But I mean, I'm only doing knit. I'm only doing garter stitch, I guess is what you call it when you're.
Yeah, we're gonna learn how to purl and do stockinette stitch today.
Yay. Okay, good.
And then Loretta, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well, except for this is not my best work. It's all crochet. I had to rip out a big chunk for some reason. On one side, it keeps flaring out, so I must be increasing and not realizing it. But
Ah.
I'm not going to rip it out again. I'm just going with it. So, yeah, doing the best I can. But I'm not crazy about this yarn, but I like it with this pattern. So therefore, I'm just going to, it'll just be crooked. That's all.
Yeah, nobody will notice.
I do.
And Anne, how's it going? Muted, by the way.
You're muted.
Here, let me see if I can unmute her. And you're muted. We can't hear you. There you are. Oh, no, wait. I still can't hear you. I'm sorry.
It's, yeah,
Hmm. Try turning up the volume. See if that does anything. Or if maybe like your microphone is like disconnected or muted outside of Zoom. Hmm.
Oh, sometimes if you don't choose to come in with, you can disconnect the sound. So maybe she should come back in.
Yeah, also check in Zoom which microphone you're using, because sometimes it'll pick one that doesn't actually work. Like make sure it's the
Right.
one in your computer or whatever. All right, well, let's hope she gets that worked out. Helen, how's it going?
It's looking good. I'm really, this is beautiful yarn. Look at that go.
It's pretty.
Love
Oh,
it.
that is pretty.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just working away on this. I know I was going to knit that sweater with you. I hope I finish this.
Let's hope.
Looking happy. Such pretty yarn.
Yeah. All right, well, I am going to wait 2 more minutes and then we'll get started on learning purl with the newbies. And you working? No.
I think she needs to turn up the volume one way or another.
Yeah.
Because you can see her microphone, so she's not doing what I thought.
I'll email her.
Okay. She can probably hear us, I think.
Can she
Oh,
use the
unless-
chat? Can she use
Unless
the
her volume. Right.
All right. Well, I am going to troubleshoot with her, but the newbies and I can learn purling in the meantime. All right, so I'm gonna take that away. Oh, this is a good example of what stockinette stitch should look like when you're doing it correctly. So this is every other row knit and then the alternate rows purl. So knit 1 row, purl 1 row, knit 1 row, etc., etc. But I'll show you how it actually works first. There we go. Let me fix this focus issue real quick. All right. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. All right, so with knitting, what we do is insert the needle, the right needle from the bottom to the top.
Right.
And wrap the yarn around and pull it through down. What we're doing with purling is first we're bringing the yarn to the front. So we're starting with the yarn in front. And then we're inserting the needle from the top to the bottom, so upside down essentially. And we're still wrapping the yarn around counterclockwise.
Huh.
And we're pulling that through and up and then pushing off the old stitch. And how's that working for you? So insert, wrap, pull through, push the old one off. Same as knitting just upside down, essentially.
Ew.
So top to bottom, wrap around, pull through, push off.
Ew.
And I'll just keep doing that slowly if you guys want to start trying to do it yourselves.
Julie, can you hear me over the phone?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on my phone, but I don't know what went down.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's on my end, but I don't know what the problem is. And my IT person is on another Zoom meeting, so
Oh, of course.
yeah. So he'll be done in an hour or so. But yeah, I'm good, and I'll need individual help anyway. But I can see what you're doing now, so I'm good.
Okay. And Karen, how's it going?
I think it's okay, except that I am going to count at the end. I think on the very first stitch, somehow maybe added a stitch, but the rest of it, so I'm going to do another row after I purposely did just a short cast on so I don't have too many before I can start another row. But I think I must have goofed up the very first stitch, but.
Oh, that's pretty common with the switch from knitting to purling.
Yeah.
Especially if you do it partway through a row, it's very easy to accidentally add a stitch.
Oh. So we'll see. Is there any, I know as you mentioned, the stockinette is knit one, purl one, row by row. What is it if you just keep purling? Is that anything?
It ends up being garter stitch, but backward.
Oh.
So it ends up looking exactly the same.
Oh. Funny, okay.
Magna, how's it going?
Oh, I'm sorry, Sujata, yeah, it's fine.
Sujatha, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't change my daughter's name. Okay, yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Huh.
So right now I'm back to knitting, just so I'm doing the stockinette stitch.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
And I'll try to get through this real quickly. So I'll just show you really quick what tends to happen if you switch from knitting to purling in the middle of a row. A lot of people will just start purling and they'll end up wrapping their yarn around the needle and they'll end up with an extra stitch
Maybe
right
that's
there.
what I did.
So what you want to do if you're switching between them in the middle of a row, like you would for ribbing, for example, you want to bring the yarn in front first and you want to do it between the two needles. So like that.
And then,
Now I'm back to the purling row. I'll do one more purling row and then I will help Anne with her thing.
Yeah, I'm good. No rush. I know I need a lot of help.
All right, top to bottom, wrap around, pull through, and push off.
Okay.
And as you get speedier at doing both of these, you'll eventually get to a place where the pushing off isn't like a separate action, it's just part of pulling through. But, you know, no rush. It's practice. So have any of you guys gotten a chance to see the comet this week?
No.
No, I forgot actually.
We
Did you
spent,
see?
yeah, we spent all of last weekend trying to catch it before dawn and never succeeded.
Uh-huh.
And then this weekend we got lucky. We had time on Saturday night. I mean, not that anybody has social plans these days, but we were able to drive out there and get a really good view of it from Skyline Drive.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Okay, so we bring this to the front.
So once you guys get comfortable with stockinette, both knit and purl today, I want to also go over casting off.
Good.
And then you will have all 4 basic skills for doing knitting and be able to do pretty much any pattern labeled beginner.
Oh, are we doing one knit and one purl?
Do 1 row of knit and then 1 row of purl. So you'll
Okay, but we're not alternating on the same row.
not alternating on the same row. I mean, you can. It's just going to be harder.
Okay.
But, you know, whatever you want to do. So, Anne, today we are sewing together that sweater, right?
Correct.
Correct. All right. Let me pull up the pattern real quick. I remember looking at it and seeing it said something about that.
I think most of the stuff where it starts with a neckband is on page 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you head on to page 3 for the right front border and left front border, I think. But I might be totally, because there's a short sweater and a long sweater, and I did the short one.
Right. So you still haven't done the, you finished both sleeves. Have you done the neckband?
No, that's where I'm assuming that's my next step. And I'm kind of trying to figure it out, but I don't even know if it's my right joint shoulder seams, and I don't know how you actually join them so they match up and where you start to knit. So maybe, I mean, I'm totally lost on this part. So maybe if you just.
It doesn't actually tell you which method to use. So, okay, so I'm just gonna go with a basic, let's see, join shoulder seams would be joining, it means joining them to the body of it, right?
I'm assuming what I'm thinking, and I obviously I'm totally lost, is that I need to put the front to the back, you know, the left front and right front, attach it to the back, I'm assuming. So that's the shoulder seams, right? But I don't even know where I start. I mean, this is like totally Greek to me. Because I mean, obviously the front side has a left side and a right side, and I don't know if you work your way in or out, if you see what I'm saying, where I start to join it.
Right.
Because it's like you'd be knitting backwards unless you turn it around, and maybe that's what you do, and you look at the back and you start from the left, which probably makes more sense, right? You see what I'm saying? I'm flipping, I'm looking at it. They're saying look at right side facing, which it is.
Mhm.
And then I guess I really should be turning it around, right, to be able to knit. That's the part I don't understand, because it's consecutive knitting, right?
Right.
It's not, yeah. So I don't know where to start or anything.
So looks like, oh, I see. Okay. All right, here's what it's telling you. You have, so right now you have pieces for the front and the back, and those are all,
Yeah, I have obviously a left side and a right side in the front, and then the full back.
yeah, and are those connected yet or no?
Nothing is connected. Everything is just free floating. So I need to put things together. It's like I'm putting together a puzzle.
Right, so right now you have as separate pieces
Correct, yeah.
those, and then you have a back piece that looks like that, and when it says join the shoulder seams, what they're talking about is that right there.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because the pattern is such that it's, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like, it's shorter, you know, it's one down, and I can see this is going there, you know, it's kind of a step up. And then it's just a straight in the neck. There's nothing fancy. And then you go to the other side. Obviously, it's a step down here at the end. So it does kind of a jump. It's not even.
Right. So I think it's just saying to connect the straight top on, or the straight bit on top of the front pieces.
But see, my problem is it's not straight. It's like two rows. One is higher than the other one.
Yeah.
And the highest one is, I can't count stitches very well, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 6 or maybe 7 stitches that are tall. And then I have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 that are one row below. And it's the tallest, closest to the V-neck part. So, I mean, and it matches in the back. So, I mean, I think I know what to connect, but I don't know how to do it.
Right.
I can draw it so you can see. It's kind of a step up. Let me.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
It's kind of, see, it's lower the further you get out, and then it goes up, and then it's straight, and like the sweater is kind of like, I don't know, it's taller here, and I can join. I have this part of the front, and I have a little part of this in the front, and then on the other side I have a couple of stitches on this row, and then a couple of stitches there, and it kind of matches up. So I kind of know that they need to be joined. That I've figured out, but then the question is, how do I join them, and what happens where it's totally straight after that, kind of on the neck, on the back part.
Right. So looking at, I'll just say, for example, the piece that looks like this, I would join this going from the outside in.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that step down to that second straight row,
yeah,
try it on and see if it fits. You know, just, you know, put it on your shoulder, see if it makes sense to you like that. And if it still seems like the neck area is too big, then just keep going until you finish the second straight bit.
Okay, I'm confused because they have to be joined. It's not like I have the option. I think that's my problem.
Okay.
I think it's like it's two matching pieces.
Right.
The front and the back match exactly. So I need to figure out how to join those pieces together.
Okay, and that's what I'm about to go over.
Yeah, because it's not even about trying. I think, this is kind of I decided this is a sweater that's very forgiving, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
like a perfect thing. If you mess up something, nobody will notice. It's so busy. But it's like I have to get, this is where my arm comes out. So this is low, this steps up, and then you keep on going in the back. And if I showed you from the front, it's just like this. See how it jumps up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect match, the front and the back. It's the step down and step up. But after I've stepped up, I have a neck that goes the whole length, and then I go for a while, then I step down. And obviously at that stage, I have already started joining my sleeve on this side and done the step down, or will have to do it.
Yeah. So I'm getting some different colored yarn to demonstrate this with.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
I just never did. Huh.
I gotta find stuff when I need
Yeah,
it.
and the problem with this is it's not like you're just joining, you're knitting additional stuff,
Yeah, I think we can at least separate those two steps so you aren't trying to do both at once.
Yeah, and that's where because I can see in the front, you're kind of knitting a row, where the buttons are. So you're kind of adding something in the front, and then you're adding something, along the opening. And then I don't know what happens in the back, but I'm assuming this kind of that ribbing type thing that you see here, this part of the kind of ribbing, you see it again.
Yes. Okay. Not for the life of me find. So,
I mean, I can wait for you to help everybody else out. So it's like,
yeah. Well, I have my handy dandy knitting kit sitting next to me, but I
Mhm.
seem to have run out of sewing needles in it. So give me just a second. They're one of those little things that just likes to run off on me.
Loretta, I wonder what happened to Camille.
Yeah, I was wondering, did she mention anything to you yesterday, if she was coming today?
Oh, I just saw your note now. I'm gonna send her a note.
Yeah, I was wondering if she, sometimes she comes on a little late because I know there's some things with her two dogs that she has to walk and everything.
Yeah, she said something to me last week about she'd be showing up at 8 sometimes.
Right. We're going to be watching our little grandpuppy, and I thought they would bring her tonight, but they're not. So tomorrow she's coming. He's coming.
Aww.
I'd be running around with the little doggy.
So you're gonna have them all week?
Yeah, and then some. Yeah, starting tomorrow. So, yeah. So I've cleared my whole schedule, my whole calendar, so I can be there with this dog.
Yeah.
Reminds me of my parents with my dog. I swear they're just gonna walk off with her one day.
No, well, ask me next time. Maybe I will kidnap the doggy.
Yeah, she's gonna go over there for dinner one night and then just never come home.
Aww.
So funny though, she took to my mom just immediately because she figured mom had the food. But she follows both my parents around just like they were always part of the family, and she's only met them like 2 or 3 times.
Aw.
I think she can tell we're all related.
Oh, sweet.
Plus dogs know if that you like them or don't like them, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that too.
Smart.
All right, found a needle finally. And there's 2 kinds of seams involved here. The ones at the shoulders are going to be connecting the top edge of the front pieces to the bottom edge of the top edge of the back piece.
Yeah.
And then the side seams and
The side seams, the side seam, there doesn't seem to be any instruction. It's
Right.
just that you seem to be knitting. I was looking, and then you seem to be doing some ribbing in front where the buttons are. So I think where you're doing something, they don't tell you how to attach the sleeves. So you'll have to explain that at some stage, but I don't think that's covered, how to attach the sleeves to the actual body of the sweater, nor how to finish the sides, you know, with the front, you know, the one that goes under your armpit, so to say. I think what they're showing is kind of the ribbing in the front where the buttons are, and the ribbing around the neckline in the front, and I'm assuming there's some kind of ribbing in the back as well. That's the impression I get.
Yeah.
So it's not
So
fully, yeah.
I'll show you how to do those seams because they're very similar methods. And then I'll also show you how to pick up stitches, which is the next step, but we're going to keep that separate for now.
Yeah, so what are we doing now? We're keeping
Right.
everything separate.
Right now, I'm going to show you how to sew them together, and then after that, I'll show you how to pick up stitches. But the sewing method and picking up stitches is when you have a finished edge on a knitted piece.
But I'm confused, excuse me, because it says pick up and knit stitches evenly along right front neck. Oh, maybe that's, the front neck. Maybe that's the open part or the pretty part, so to say.
So what it's going to do is, you see the sentence right before that where it says join shoulder
seams.
Yes. So what you're going to do is you're going to join those first, so you end up with a piece that looks like that. So
Okay.
it's the, you know, the 2 front pieces and the back piece joined.
Are attached to the back, yeah.
And then you're going to pick up stitches around the neck hole.
Yeah, I got you, I'm with you.
And then you'll do the ribbing to do the neck, and then you'll pick up stitches along here and
To do ribbing in the front,
to do the ribbing in the front, and then it's gonna have you.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything after that.
Right.
That's when you'll help me on that part, but there's kind of parts that are missing, but I guess it's the joining and the ribbing that's confusing me, because I figured I can, you know, do whatever joining. I mean, I know you had me do that for the pillow, right? When I did the pillow,
Right.
that I can handle. I can even, you know, figure it out kind of, even if I looked at YouTube, but it's the other part, the fancier part. But I'm with you on what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm joining it. So it's right, that part where the front joins the back, you are saying there's nothing fancy going on. The only fancy becomes around the neck itself.
Right.
Okay.
Right. This is just simple sewing, joining the front pieces and the back piece. And the picking up is the fancy part.
Yeah.
So I assume you know how to do the sewing.
Well, I can figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd recommend just a simple straight stitch or mattress stitch if you were feeling fancy, but you could do whatever makes the most sense to you. But picking up stitches, I think, is the technique we really need to cover.
Okay.
So let me grab a crochet hook real quick.
Because, yeah, I think I can, yeah. So when you say picking up stitches, it's not when I'm joining it, it's when I'm getting fancy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And let me scooch this. So picking up stitches is when you have like a finished edge, like on this,
Uh-huh.
and you want to add more stitches to it.
Yeah, and I'm adding them in a different direction, right?
Let me see what it says.
Because the ribbing is going opposite of where I've been knitting.
Right.
But I can I'll let you go.
Right side facing, pick up and knit stitches.
I'll let you
Right,
take care of
yeah.
the other ladies because I'm starting to understand a little bit, but so I can wait. And then you
Okay.
can show me how I do the fancy stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Sujatha, how's it going?
Yeah, good, good. Going on well.
Can I see?
Okay.
Oh, looking real good. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
All right. And Karen, how's it going?
I have this little stockinette stitch. So there we
I
go.
like it. I like it. All right. And Helen, you need any help?
Nope, I think I'm okay.
All right. And Loretta, you all good?
Yeah, same situation. I just really my eye keeps going to this one side, which keeps going out, but I try to keep bringing it back in. But my plan is, I was thinking of using something a little bit thicker, like this yarn here,
Mhm.
as making some sort of a thicker border around it, and thinking maybe that might smooth it out a little bit so that it won't look so obviously off like it does to me.
Yeah, that could work. Let's see. Looks like we got Rie joining. Hey Rie, how's it going?
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's all right. Join whenever. How you doing?
Good.
Loretta, I think that sounds like a really good idea. And if you made the border a little thicker, that should really help tame it.
Okay, I hope.
But I
hope.
also
Thank-
wonder how much of that'll come out in blocking, and I'd recommend you block it before you do the border.
Right, like wet it down and try to pull it on one side or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Yep. So that's where I am.
All right, Rie, how you doing? What you been up to over the last 2 weeks?
I did garter stitches and then this stitch. And
Oh,
I want to know how to cast off.
Cast off. Okay, we will cover that in about 10 minutes. I've
Okay.
got to
Thank
help
you.
Anne with something real quick. Well, maybe not real quick, but I will help her. All right, so Anne, I'm reading the instructions now, and it's saying, it's using a lot of words to say something fairly simple, which is that you're going to pick up stitches along the right front neck and then just circle around until you get to the other side.
Uh-huh.
And it's saying you should be picking up, you're doing the third size in, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so you'll be picking up 45 stitches altogether. And it'll
41, right? Because
Or-
there's 39 and 41.
be, right.
Yeah.
So you'll be picking up,
41
11
stitches around the neck.
yeah, you'll be picking up 11 along the right front,
Okay.
19 along the back, and then 11 along the other front side. That's all it's saying.
Okay. So in many ways, yeah, assuming all my numbers are right, I'm working my way around the neck. And when I'm done, I should have a total of 41 stitches, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the easiest way to pick up stitches I've found is to use a crochet hook. You
Okay.
can do this with a knitting needle. It's just a little easier.
Okay.
So you see this finished edge with this kind of chain look to it?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You want to insert the crochet hook under that first chain.
Okay. I have you on the phone, so it's hard, but I think, okay, I got it. Okay. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll demonstrate with the really big yarn too, because that's easier to see. But
Yeah, my problem is, yeah, like I said, I have you on the phone, so it's a really small picture, but
And then you take some new yarn. I'm using red for this just so you can see the contrast.
Okay. All right.
I'm putting it on the crochet hook and then using the hook to pull it through. So now
Okay.
I have a loop over
Uh-huh.
here. And then I just go to the next one in the chain and do the same thing.
And pull one yarn in again.
Yes, and then just keep going.
Okay.
And if you pick it up from the right side, so from the side that, you know, looks like the pretty V shapes,
Uh-huh.
it'll be totally seamless once you start knitting. You won't be able to tell that there was an end and a beginning in there.
Yeah. Plus, you know, with this yarn being so thick and so many colors, you can't see anything. All right, so you're picking it up with a crochet hook. But then my question is, I should start, so I kind of get doing that part. And after I've done that, what do I do? If you give me the neckband, I'm good. I have all those. What do I do with them?
Then once you get a row onto your knitting needle,
So I move them onto the knitting needle, and then I start doing a row of ribbing 4 times. What is that? Starting with first row of 1-1, rib work 4 rows. What does that mean? Because
so
I
it
think
just means knit 1, purl 1 for 4 rows. I don't know why they phrased it that way.
Yeah, so how many rows am I doing? 4 or 5?
4.
4, okay, so it's 4 rows, okay.
Although,
So
again, I encourage you to like try it on partway through, and if it seems short, just add a few rows.
Okay, okay. So that's the neckband, and then I'm assuming the front does the same, it's the same idea.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
just be doing that along the side. And the
Mhm.
only real difference with that is instead of going into the nice chains at the top, you'll be going into the slightly messy chains on the side.
Okay, yeah, I think,
If they get too messy, you can just go in 1 row and work
okay.
the stitches right next to the border instead of the border itself.
Okay, so I think I'm good. I think I'm kind of understanding. And my question is then, what do I do with the sleeves and the side that doesn't have this fancy ribbing? Do I put that together before or after? I've never done anything. I heard you say blocking. Do I do anything before I put it all together?
Let's see. I usually recommend blocking before sewing because blocking helps neaten everything and it just makes it easier to see what you're doing. And it also makes sure everything's at its final size. I forget what kind of yarn that is. It's all acrylic, right?
Tundra Super Chunky. I don't know what the heck it is. Let me see if I have, let me see. Because then I can kind of be on my way. Let me see what it says. 80% acrylic and 20 alpaca.
Okay, okay. So what I would do is I would lay it out flat on like an ironing board or a surface where you can use it. And then just kind of scrunch it into the final shape like this.
Uh-huh.
And then I would take the steam setting on your iron and just go over it.
Uh-huh.
And do it on like not the highest heat, but like just a setting or 2 below that.
Not highest, 2 below. So am I doing this before I start doing any of the stuff we talked about?
Yes, because what that'll do is you see how like the edges of this are rolling up? And
Yeah.
yours rolls up really bad?
Uh-huh.
That'll help with that, and that'll make sewing easier.
Okay, so how long do I steam it or hold it?
I would go slow. Go slow.
Okay, and do I have a towel or something to protect it? Or
You can put a towel under it, and
Under.
if you want, you can put something else on top of it. I've done this directly on acrylic before, and it's not hurt it.
Okay.
But yeah,
All right.
I found most irons just don't get that hot.
Okay, and about how long? Since I have no clue what I'm doing here.
I would say like maybe just like move but slowly over it like that.
Okay.
Like you were really aggressively getting the wrinkles out of it.
Over. Okay, aggressively wrinkles. Okay. Maybe I can put that on my face too, but aggressively over wrinkles. All right. So I think I'm good then. There's no point in me staying on, right? Because I can't do anything till I do this.
I would stay on just for the next little bit while I show them how to do the cast off, because then I can
Okay.
use the cast off edge to show you how to pick up with the big yarn.
Okay.
The only other thing I'm looking at in here that you need to watch out for is when you're picking up the stitches along the back,
Uh-huh.
it says you'll be picking up 19 stitches
Mm-hmm.
from 17 finished stitches on the back.
Yeah.
And what that means is just like right at the beginning and right at the end, just pick up 2 stitches in one. So
Oh, 2 stitches in one. Okay.
yeah, that's all. It's not major. It is going to confuse you when you hit it though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
And you
All
know my
right.
email's always open.
All right. I'm good. I think I actually kind of understand.
Okay. All right. And
Thanks.
for the new folks, let's go over casting off.
Okay.
All right. Are you guys at the end of a row or close to one?
Yes, I am.
Sujatha, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm done.
All right. And Rie? All right. Let me just get to the end of this row real quick. Grab.
And Julie, what you were discussing, that is called blocking, doing the steaming and flattening. Is that what that was?
Yeah, so blocking is just a phrase for putting the knitting into its final shape.
Okay.
There's lots of different ways of doing it, but the short version of why it does, like why it helps, is that knitting uses fibers, and fibers can get very kinked up or like locked together in weird ways as you're knitting. But by blocking using some combination of water, heat, and time, you basically get those fibers to like relax and lengthen out to their correct length. And it just causes your knitting to sort of relax into the shape it's supposed to be.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not like felting. You're not aiming to like, you know, shrink your piece or turn it into something it's not. It's just convincing the knitting to behave, basically.
So what would you use for acrylic? Would you use heat?
Yeah, for
Are you
acrylic, I like to use heat because I've found that cold blocking, which is just blocking using water plus time, doesn't do a ton for acrylic. And I've also found that most acrylics, when you use heat, what you end up doing is just essentially smoothing down or burning off those little extra fibers you get with knitting, like, you know, the kind of fuzzy halo you get on your knitting as you go.
So Loretta should iron all of it or one side of it or pin it down or what?
Yeah, so I'd pin it down. Let me grab you the pins I use, and I'll just do this like straight on my carpet or straight on like a towel on a table. I mean, don't do a towel on a table though if the table's gonna burn, because it might. But I've got these T-pins that are just like blending in with my ring.
Oh.
They're just shaped like that. And you can get them basically everywhere.
T-pins, uh-huh.
And they're just really good for, like, I'll put something on the floor and I'll just use T-pins to just pin it down, literally.
Like the shape you want it, and then you iron it into that shape?
Yep. And then once you're done blocking, you'll see that it'll kind of just relax into the correct shape. And you can be pretty aggressive with blocking for most things. Oh, look, Camille's coming in. Like I need to dig up these old photos, but I've got photos of what a huge piece I knitted looks like before and after blocking, and it literally stretches about 6 inches. Just because it goes from everything scrunched to everything relaxed.
All right, so if you're trying to get one side to be different than the other, because I had this with the blanket I made, could you just block one side of it? So like
yeah, you absolutely could. You could also pin them into the same shape. You could use like a pattern to do that. Or you can do what I like to do, which is just pin them on top of each other and block them together. So like for example, with wool, I would do a cold block, which is just dunk it in water until it gets wet and then pin it into the correct shape and then just let it dry overnight. And you can do multiple layers at once if you're doing it that way. So like if you had 2 sleeves and one of them came out like slightly different than the other, you can pin them on top of each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So with a blanket with one side that's off, would you just like fold it and?
You could fold it. You could
Or-
also, like I said, if you've got some floor space you don't mind losing for a night, you can just pin it out on the
Okay.
floor and have it be as big as you need it to be.
Okay.
The only catch with that is make sure you get all the pins back the next day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I used to
Thank
have this carpet in my parents' basement that had 1 foot by 1 foot blocks, and it was like the perfect thing for pinning on because I could literally measure it out as I was going and be like, okay, I want a 4 foot by 6 foot blanket, so I'm going to pin it to this corner, that corner, that corner.
Well,
Right.
Alex said it before. Final Shepherd, he says.
All right, so let's do casting off. And what you'll want to do is be at the end of a row, ready to start your next row. You'll want your piece here and then either a crochet hook or a knitting needle. I'll show you how it works with both. It's a little easier with a crochet hook, but no big deal either way. And you're gonna start knitting. You're gonna knit 2 stitches. So 1, 2. And instead of continuing to knit, I'm going to take this top stitch and pull it through the bottom stitch, like that.
Huh?
So now I only have 1 stitch on my crochet hook. And then I'm gonna knit the next stitch.
Are you binding off?
Oh yeah, we're binding off.
Okay.
With a crochet hook, that is so cool. I've never
So
seen
much
that.
easier, so much easier.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And then pull
But-
top through bottom.
Oh, oh, I love it.
And the golden rule here is every time you have 2 loops on your crochet hook or your knitting needle, you'll want to pull top through bottom. You don't want to have more than 2 at any given time.
Wow.
And I'll show you the same thing with the knitting needle if you don't have a crochet hook handy right now. Same idea, you've got 1 loop on the knitting needle, you knit 1. And then you just pick this one up with your fingers and pull it over.
And I thought you said you put the top one through the, okay,
Yeah, same idea, just slightly different
okay.
execution. And then you just keep doing that. And I'll continue doing both slowly while you guys try it out and let me know if you have any problems.
Okay, could you show a close up with a crochet hook?
Sure thing.
Okay.
And I will zoom way up.
Okay.
Okay, so you just knit with the crochet hook.
Okay.
What's special about that?
Mm-hmm.
Push the old stitch off and then pull top through bottom.
Okay.
But with the knitting needle, it looked like you did just the opposite then.
Yeah, the whole idea is you're getting this top loop through the bottom loop. With the knitting needle, you can do the same movement. It's just a lot harder.
Oh, okay.
But the idea is just you wanna get that top loop through that bottom loop, however you need to do it. So this time the top loop is still going through the bottom loop. It's just that the bottom loop is the one moving.
Okay.
And I'll show you if you try to pull top loop through bottom loop like I did with the crochet hook, it just is a more complicated movement, that's all.
Okay.
So Julie, I have a quick question. What is it called? What you were doing for the sweater? If I were to look up it up on the internet, when you put in using the crochet to start the loops or whatever you want to call it.
That's called picking up stitches.
It's called picking up stitches, literally. Okay.
Yeah. And once I'm done with this bind off row, I'll show you how that works with these.
Okay, could you show it again with the crochet hook?
Alrighty, Ria, how you looking? Oh, you're muted.
Knitting needle, but I'll bring crochet needle.
Could you show it again? Yeah, we need a close up.
Yeah. Okay, Karen, how's it going?
Almost, woo, almost got it off.
Looking good, looking good. Sujatha, how's it going?
1 second. I think I need to see it once again.
Let me just back up a few.
When you're doing the knitting cast off, do you literally use your finger? I mean, that seems to be the only way to pull the one over the other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. It doesn't seem very,
It's not very elegant.
no, all right, thank you, that's a good word, that's,
So yeah, the knitting one, that's what that looks like.
okay, that's, all right. I'll have to go find a crochet hook, but for the time being, that works. And then I guess when you get to the very last stitch, do you just then, you pull the thread through the last loop, or?
I'll show you in 2 seconds. So
Fine,
this
that's
is
fine.
what it looks like. So I've
Okay.
knit 2 onto
Okay.
the crochet hook,
Okay,
and I'm pulling top through bottom.
okay.
That movement is takes practice, so don't worry about it at first if it seems messy or complicated. All right, so Karen, when you get to the last stitch,
Yep,
you'll have 1 loop left on your needle and then the tail.
yep,
You'll want to wrap the tail around the needle, pull that loop through, and then cut it and pull it through.
oh.
And that just ties like a little extra secure knot, basically.
So what did you say?
So
So
you'll
one
end up
more?
with 1 loop
Yeah,
and then your working yarn.
yeah,
And you'll take your working yarn, wrap it around the crochet hook
or the needle, if you have the needle.
or the needle, and then you'll
Okay.
pull that through, or you'll pull it, you know, over the needle. So I'll show you what that looks like.
Okay,
You wrap it around the needle and then just pull that over.
and you're wrapping from behind, right?
Doesn't really matter for
It
this
doesn't,
one.
okay,
And then you'll cut it and pull that loop through.
okay.
Actually, I'm gonna cut this now.
Is there any rule of thumb for the size of the crochet? Or should just like with your, you know, compared to your needle?
You can match the sizes.
You should try to.
You can. What I tend to do is go up a size or two because I knit very tight, and it just makes sure that my starting rows and ending rows aren't ridiculously tight.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But you'll see with both knitting needles and crochet hooks, they have a size that's in millimeters, and that's literally describing how thick it is in millimeters. So this one's 10 millimeters. And you can actually match that to a knitting needle because they also have sizes in millimeters. And you can look that up online if yours just says like in or 15. There's like charts that'll tell you like in 15 equals 10 millimeters.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Huh.
Yep.
That's good to know. That's really much easier.
Yeah. But yeah, as long as you're within like a size or two, it doesn't really matter if the crochet hook's exactly the same. All right, and newbies, you guys doing okay? Sujatha?
You see?
Oh, that looks good. That looks really good.
Mhm.
Karen, how's it going?
I got my little piece.
Oh, looks lovely. It's all done. That's awesome. Bria, how you doing?
Me?
Oh, that looks good. That looks good.
So what do you do with the last stitch then?
So you'll end up with
One stitch.
one stitch
Right.
and the tail. You wrap the tail around your crochet hook
Mm-hmm.
and then pull it through.
Okay.
And then you can snip the tail and pull that loop through. And then you've got just like a nice little knot there.
Right. Okay.
All right, and now that I have a nicely cast off piece, I will show you how to pick up stitches with it.
Okay.
And I've got my lovely dark green yarn, which is good for showing this kind of stuff. And I'm going to zoom back out a little. This is a little close for comfort. That's a little not close. All right, can you see that good?
Yeah. I'm good.
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right, so just starting with that, that lovely cast off chain right there. You're going to insert your crochet hook into the first pair of loops in that chain. So, the V shape you want to insert under the whole V shape. And then you loop your new yarn around the crochet hook and pull it through.
Okay, your picture disappeared. Somebody else had some noise going on.
That's all right, I'll keep going.
Okay, I got you now.
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay, and just keep going like that.
Okay, so I get that you keep going, but then you transfer it onto a knitting needle?
Yeah, so the transfer is really simple, actually. You just hold this steady, pull out the crochet hook, and just insert a knitting needle.
Okay, so that's how you do it. All right.
You want to do that every, 5 or 6 stitches that you cast on, just so you don't end up with stitches filling up your crochet hook.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I can just keep going from here.
No, I think I got that. So I essentially, does it make sense for me? First, I need to block all the pieces, right?
Yeah.
And you said something about to get them to be the same size when we're talking later. You put them on top of each other?
Yeah, you can if they're like drastically different sizes. If not, just block them as is and don't worry about it too much.
All right. And then does it make sense for me to obviously attach the shoulders, but is there anything wrong in sewing in the sleeves and sewing the sides before I start the ribbing and what you're doing?
I don't believe so. It doesn't have like the ribbing along the bottom and at the edge of the sleeves is already done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's no problem with doing it that way.
So basically, I could just construct the whole sweater and then do all the ribbing, the pretty stuff.
Yep.
All right, great. So I think I'm kind of on my way, and obviously I need to block. So maybe I'll get off because I think I actually have a game plan now. I kind of understand what's going on. I was lost before class, so.
Yeah, the only tricky part you're going to run into is doing, let's see. Is when you get to
You have to start with the neckband because then you have the front border on top of that, right?
right, and the right front border has buttonholes in it, which is going to be not super complicated, just somewhat complicated.
Why is that? Because how do you do, you're not making any room for the buttonholes, are you?
Looks like you are, yeah.
You are? Ugh.
Yeah.
But where is that happening?
Looks like right front border has that, so you can do the left front border you can do the left front border first, because that's just simple rib, and then right front border has you casting off some stitches in the middle of a row and then picking them up on the next row. We've lost her. So you guys, the newbies have finished your first piece almost.
Julie,
Yes.
so I'm looking at that, this is just I guess a curiosity question. So Anne's pattern is telling her to pick up these stitches. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't tell her to put a provisional cast on there so that she wouldn't have to do that. She could just take the scrap yarn out and then pick up the stitches that way.
You know, I 100% agree.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I took my earphones came out.
I was saying I 100% agree with you, but this is meant to be like an intermediate beginner type pattern. So like if I were doing the same thing, I wouldn't have even cast off. I would have done Kitchener stitch because it's joined at the tops of both pieces.
I see, yeah.
But it's not meant for that level of skill. So I think it's fine the way it is. And obviously, if you know how to do those things, you can definitely modify the pattern, no problem.
Oh, so the pattern as it was written told her to cast off and to actually do it this way. Okay.
Yeah, you can do this whole sweater knowing just the basics, basically. Knit, purl, like one increase and one decrease.
Well, what about, there's also fit. Did she have to modify it in any way?
It's actually it's really cleverly written to where it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 alternate sizes, and they're all a little modified, so you could basically already
just follow the pattern to that size.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done now.
That looks great. Oh, I love it.
So what's next?
What's next is we're going to sew in the ends so that they become invisible. And then you'll have completely finished your first piece. So you're going to want to cut the yarn so that you've got a bit of a tail.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll want some kind of needle. You can also do this with a crochet hook. And you'll want to thread the tail end of the yarn onto the needle.
Okay.
And then you just go along the edge. And this is called sewing in or weaving in, and it's just to make your tail end of your yarn disappear.
Okay.
And you will find so many different methods and so many different styles of doing this, and they are all good.
Huh.
So if you Google this and find some completely different way to do it that appeals to you, go for it.
Now, what if your hook is an open hook? I mean, there's no eye to this hook.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that in just a second.
Okay.
So you'll pull that through
Mm-hmm.
like that. So if you were doing this with the crochet hook, what you would do is come from a few back
Mhm.
and do that, and then just
Okay.
grab the tail and pull it through.
Okay.
I get the feeling the thunder that just rolled through here has something to do with a lot of people dropping off.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of storms.
Yeah. Hey, Ann, you back? Hey there. Can you hear me? Nope. So yeah, you're gonna do that until about halfway across the piece. And then you want to turn and go back the other way.
Oh.
And try to do it so that you're like looped around a piece so that you're not actually unsewing. So like that.
Mm.
And basically what that ensures is that when you actually snip the tail for the final time and kind of pull it, it won't just pull back out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back across.
Jesus, we lost power for a few seconds. Is it raining where you guys are?
Yeah, I was about to say, I guessed that everybody dropping out at once had something to do with that thunder that just happened.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm back. That took a while.
Rhea, you back? We got you back?
Yeah, thank you.
I understand the power
We
just
had
went out for a lot of people. So Rhea was showing the other folks how to weave in or sew in, which is just taking the tail end and hiding it in your piece. And you can do that with either a needle or a crochet hook. And since I know you have a crochet hook, I'll just show you that. But you just use your crochet hook to kind of go in and out of the piece a few times and then grab the tail and pull it through. And you'll want to zigzag as you do that. So I just went this way and then turned around and went that way. And what that ensures is that now that I've finished weaving in, I can snip this and pull on it a little and it disappears.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you do that to both your starting yarn and your tail end yarn, you're done. You finished your first piece. Loretta, you look like you're talking, but you're on mute.
Oh, I was just talking to my husband. I'm not happy with how it flares out. I keep getting bothered by it. So I'm considering ripping it out and trying to do a granny square, like a continuous granny square instead. So I don't know, because for one thing, I think I'm going to run out of yarn because of the way it's flaring out. It's just not working for me.
Is it flaring out on both sides or one side?
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. It's just on one side. Just on one side. And I keep bringing it back. It's not working. But the other side is like totally straight. So I don't understand it. But I'm going to run out of yarn anyway. So it's not going to work out for me. And I was hoping it would, but I actually am now leaning toward ripping it up, starting over.
sorry.
No, it's okay. But the knitting is so beautiful. I really should try for the knitting next time.
Yeah,
So,
join us again.
yeah, but thank you. My iPad is almost out of battery at this point. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. But thank you so much. I'll see you the next time.
Yes, it was good seeing you.
Nice
Bye.
seeing you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
So Camille, I forgot to ask, what are you working on? Unmute yourself.
I'm swatching.
Oh, fun. What are you swatching for?
Well, I have a neighbor who who's having a baby, and I love this slip stitch, and I have this yarn. I just want to see what the yarn looks like in this slip stitch. And then, you know, if I like it, I think I'll just do a small little thing for her. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Do you know what I mean when I say slip stitch? I taught Helen this thing. It's just a real simple multiple of two. So and you have to have at least 10 stitches for the swatch. I've got 20, and I do the garter on two stitches on each end to keep it flat, because it will kind of roll a little bit like stockinette.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do is you knit one, slip one as to, slip one is to purl, knit one, slip one is to purl, and you go across, and you knit you knit the last two stitches.
Uh-huh.
And then you turn it around on the wrong side, you purl, you come back, you do the two ends. When I say you turn it around, you do the edging. I'm just taking those 4 stitches out and working with the even stitches in the middle. So it's knit one, slip one, all the way across, last 2 stitches, knit those stitches. Do the end, the last 2 stitches, turn it around, purl all the way across, turn it around. It's a pattern of 4 rows. So that's the first row. Second row is purl back. Third row is you're coming across on the right side. You knit the first 2 stitches, slip stitch, knit, slip stitch, and that slip is to purl, not as to knit. And then when you get to the last stitch, the last 2 stitches, if you do it right, the last stitch should be a knit.
Okay.
Not 2 knits. It should. I mean, that keeps you on track. I mean, it's not like you need to put markers in or everything. It's you knit the first 2 on the first row. You knit 1 on the third row, and you purl back on the wrong side on the 4th row. And what happens is it just has this really nice alternating stitch on the front and on the back. It actually looks nice on the back too. It's like the purl stitches come across on a diagonal.
Huh.
So I have this really, I didn't explain that really well, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've got the general idea.
Wait,
is that
is that what we-
normally how you handle your stockinette rolling up?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that normally how you handle your stockinette rolling up? You just do garter stitch on the sides?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you could always do that. I never do it where you don't pull the stitch up on the side. I don't even do it. Now, I sometimes use seat stitch.
Okay.
I'm
a big fan of slipping 1 stitch at the beginning of every row and then knitting the last stitch.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I was in a knitting store, and I was listening to a, this is terrible. I was eavesdropping. There was I was at Michael's and I was buying some yarn. There were these two women, standing at the tools. And she goes, "You'll have to tell me how you get that end to not do that." She goes, "Oh, it's so simple. You just slip that last stitch." And I turned around, I said, "You're kidding." And she goes, "No, it works all the time." That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and that's my preferred method because I've just found it to be the most reliable over the years.
And that does make it easy, I guess, if you wanted to put a border on, because you can really pick up those stitches on the vertical side, can't you?
Exactly, yes. So I did this little stockinette square for the Fixing Mistakes workshop.
Yeah.
I did the slip stitch border on it just because I was feeling fancy. And you can see, like, now that it's blocked, it doesn't roll at all.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So do you slip that as you slip it all the time, that last stitch, as if to purl? I mean, as if to knit?
Yeah,
Or
so
is this
the
the
way I
purl?
do it is I slip the first stitch of every row and knit the last stitch. And that way on alternating rows, you get slip versus knit.
So you slip it as to knit, and then you come across, knit the last stitch, then you turn it around, you slip that stitch as if to knit.
I slip it as if it were whatever stitch I'm doing next.
Okay. So you could slip it as if to purl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, this is not coming
That's
too
interesting.
good.
It is. Let me see, Sujatha.
Nothing, I'm not getting the hang of it. I'm still there.
Or have you zigged and zagged?
Yeah, can you show it to me one more time?
Yeah. I'll show you with this lovely red yarn and the small needle. Give me just a second to thread the needle. I'm not feeling super dexterous tonight.
What I have is the hook and I don't think the strand is going around the hook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll happen. Choose the other end of this. So if you were using a crochet hook, just kind of, go into it wherever and then use the hook to grab it.
Okay.
And if you're finding that it's sliding off the hook a lot, put some tension on it like this.
Right.
Like just hold it. And then slide the piece over the crochet hook.
Okay.
That might help you. So
Okay.
if you put a little tension on and then slide the piece over, then you can pull the tail through a little easier.
Okay.
Oh, we got people dropping like flies with this storm coming through. Given if we were meeting in person, none of us would be there. I'm actually going to switch from Wi-Fi to my phone's hotspot, so if I get hit by a power outage, it won't kick everybody off.
So what are we learning next week?
Next week, we're just going to practice what we already have, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then we're going to learn increases.
Are we learning how to crochet also?
If you want, we can.
I mean, I guess then we need to buy yarn for that, or can we use this?
Same yarn. As long as you've got a crochet hook.
Hmm.
All right, I have now switched over to my phone's internet. So we should stay connected for the next 30 minutes. But yeah, crochet is a lot of fun to learn. I often compare crochet versus knit to ski versus snowboard,
Hmm.
where the saying with skiing is that it's got like a high barrier to entry, but it's easy once you get past that, and snowboarding's the other way around. Hard to master, easy to learn. And for me, knitting is like hard to learn, easy to master, and crochet is takes a minute to wrap your head around when you first start out, and then after that, you're off to the races. I just said the same thing twice, didn't I?
Yeah, you did it.
But the other really good comparison I found is that knitting's almost like weaving, where you're working on a whole row at once, where crochet is a lot more like working with Legos, where you only have to worry about the one stitch right in front of you, and then you can move on to the next stitch and don't have to worry about the previous one anymore. I like them both just for different things. Like I make pot holders for my mom with crochet because it makes a really nice thick end product. And I make her washcloths with knitting because they're, you know, they drape nice and they act like a washcloth.
Can you explain what is the benefit? Why do you need to weave the tails back in as opposed to just cut them? Will it unravel if you don't do
It will
that?
unravel, but the tail will eventually work its way out of whatever you put it into. And when you weave in and zigzag, it prevents it from doing that.
Okay.
So like if I were to just cut this tail right here, like that, I'd have that little nubbin sticking out.
I see. Okay.
And honestly, for some pieces, it doesn't matter if you have the nubbin sticking out because you're going to put a border on or you're going to sew it to something. But for most pieces, you'll want to, you know, hide that a little bit.
Have a smoother.
Yeah, but like I've said with weaving in, I've literally never seen a consistent method for it. It's just whatever works for you individually.
Okay.
So I've seen people who will zigzag across. I've seen people who will zigzag up and down. I've seen people who like do some really clever stuff where they hide it inside the stitches.
Huh.
I mean, just whatever works for you.
Okay. Weird.
I know my current like lazy approach to weaving in the tail at the start is to just knit it in as I'm going.
Oh, interesting.
So for the first row or as I'm casting on, I'll just be knitting with 2 loops instead of 1, and then eventually it disappears.
Huh. And it doesn't really then show up in the pattern. It's just sort of.
Yeah, it's just like it's a slightly thicker row right at the start, but you wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it.
Oh, okay.
I've gotten incredibly lazy with my knitting, which I think is a good thing because it makes me clever, but I just hate weaving in and I hate, you know, doing a bunch of things. So I've just found better ways to do them.
Okay.
Like, I'll show you on my big blanket. The way I wove in the ends when I was transitioning from that light shade to that dark shade was I just knit a row with both of them together.
Oh, okay.
And then I dropped off the light one on the next row and just knit with all dark after that. And then I just found the tails and snipped them off. Because it means essentially the knot holding them together is an entire row of knitting.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work for like 100% of things. Like if I tried to do that with this thick of a yarn, you'd immediately notice
Right.
because it would be huge. But for like 90% of things you're doing, that's totally fine.
That would work.
How's it going, Sujatha? Any luck?
Yeah, almost there. I think I finished one and got a small piece still left. Okay.
Well, you should be proud of yourselves tonight. Finished your first piece.
Without doing it again, can you just sort of explain how you would do the weaving with a knitting needle? I'll have to go search for a crochet hook before the next class, but
It's actually one of the few things you can't really do with a knitting needle. Like, it's,
okay, well then that explains why I've been having trouble. So I will, I will try this
yeah, you
offline.
could try to like, you could try. Now I'm curious. I'm gonna try it. You could try poking the knitting needle through
Uh-huh.
and then just trying to like use it to pull it through.
To pull the, okay.
You could try that.
I'll find, I think I know where, I've been using all my mom's old stuff, and if I go back and look in the bin, she probably has a crochet hook in there. I just didn't.
Yeah, crochet hook's good, or like a tapestry needle, or like, you know, a chunky little yarn needle.
Okay.
This is a tapestry needle. Here, I'm gonna hold it up closer.
Yeah,
You know, big thick needle with a big
Right.
eye that you can put your yarn through,
okay,
and that you can just use as if you were sewing.
okay. And you just weave it in and out.
Yeah, so the important part of it is zigzagging in some fashion so like if I didn't zigzag and I pulled on this, eventually it would work its way back out.
Oh, that's why, okay,
But if you zigzag back and forth and pull on it, it just pulls tight.
okay. Okay. That's interesting. And what did you say we're gonna go over next week?
Increases and decreases, which
Okay.
is say you've got a row with 12 and you want your next row to have 14,
Right,
that's an increase.
okay.
And those are like I'd say once you've got knit, purl, cast on, and cast off done with, you've learned the absolute basics of knitting, and you can do a lot of things with that actually.
Mm-hmm.
But increasing and decreasing is where you can start shaping your knitting. So you can get all kinds of interesting shapes out of it
Yeah.
and do stuff like make a sleeve like Ann Jansen did, or make a sweater.
Right.
So this is what increasing and decreasing will look like when we do it. We're going to
That's lovely.
start with just 5 stitches, work our way up to 20, and then
Oh.
work our way back down to 5. 6.
Cool.
We're going to do symmetrical. That's what that will look like.
Okay.
It looks a little off kilter on camera, but in real life, it's a nice diamond shape. And like I was showing with Ann Jansen, I was showing the diagrams I'd drawn of all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
These pieces, like the back where it, you know, scoops up to accommodate the shoulder seams, or like the top of the shoulder where it's rounded off, those are all just increases and decreases. So once you're done with next week's lesson, you'll be on a level where you could make a sweater if you wanted to.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is like, that would be a big ask for a beginner, but
yeah,
you
pretty
totally could if
ambitious.
you wanted to.
Right. Oop.
Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning or middle of class when everybody was here, but I'm going to be switching my website over to a new host sometime this weekend, so it should actually be updated after that. Right now I'm using WordPress, and they've just updated their back end, and it is unbelievably annoying to deal with. So I'm just going to switch to a better provider that will let me update easier. And I will hopefully get the short tutorials and the class recordings up as well. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder over here.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Let me see, let me see. Ah, that's awesome. It's invisible.
And I accidentally added 5 stitches today, so I'm ahead of the class.
There you go. You've already got the skills for next week. That's awesome. You finished your first piece. How does it
Wow.
feel?
Good. So I still can learn new stuff.
I really, really sincerely wish I'd saved my first piece, but it disappeared in one of my moves because it was hideous. It was awful. And I would love to show it to people and be like, you are already so far ahead of where your teacher was at this point in your learning. Mine went from like, my first piece was a scarf out of white yarn, which is like a mistake for an 8-year-old because it did not stay white through the whole knitting. And it went from about yay wide to about yay wide and then back to yay wide. And just kind of switched between the two sizes over the course of the scarf. It was so ugly. I loved it. And then after that for a while, I got really obsessed with like 70s knitting patterns, which was also a mistake. Because everything was like that weird avocado green and like orange.
Funny. Huh.
I did like a whole granny square vest, which was like, nowadays I think it would actually look fine, but you know, in middle school that was not cool. But I've always been into knitting for the joy of actually just making something, not for a pretty finished product. So the newbies, so you have something to do between now and next week. Do you guys want to try doing some ribbing?
Okay.
So ribbing is, and we'll just do like a little, I don't know, 20 by 20 square or however long.
Mm-hmm.
And ribbing is just really simple. It's switching between knit and purl in a row
Okay.
so that you have, you know, this nice column of stockinette, and then next to it is the back of another column.
Okay.
And I'll show you like a 2 by 2 rib would be, just pull this apart real quick. That won't wove it into good. So a 2 by 2 rib would just be knit 2, and then taking the yarn between the needles, bring it to the front, and then purl 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you knit 2,
Mm-hmm.
purl 2. And I'd encourage you to try it.
Okay.
And
So-
just know that you will probably end up with more stitches than you started with.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, it's very common when people are switching between the two to accidentally wrap the yarn around the needle.
Okay.
So 2 by 2, how many stitches do we cast on?
Any multiple of 2.
Okay.
I do like 20 because you guys are very quick knitters, both of you, or at least you're good at it.
Okay.
And just work on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good practice for both knitting and purling, and it's good practice for doing multiple things in one row.
So how many rows do you want us to do then?
20.
20? Oh, okay. 20 by 20.
Yeah. And the trick with it is that when you get to the end of the row, so like you've just finished your last, I'll say purl, when you turn it around and go back the other way,
Mm-hmm.
you'll want to start with a knit. So start with the opposite of whatever you were doing before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you get the nice columns. And
So you want us to cast off also? Do the whole thing?
yeah, if you get the time. if you've got the time, I'd totally do that. It's really good practice. And right now I'm just backing up because that's not what I was actually doing.
So that's what's called ribbing, alternate knit and purl.
Yep.
Okay.
And you said do two stitches and then change, and then 2 stitches and then change, right?
Yes, and now that I've got the back end of the website working again, I will send that beginner's packet around, and that's the second or third pattern in there is a ribbed washcloth, which is just exactly the pattern I described. So also got to get you guys reading patterns because that is an important part of learning how to knit.
Oh, do you have any suggestions for, I mean, I am just working on a big rectangle right now to be part of a blanket, which I actually left and said my daughter will probably inherit this from me as long as this will probably take. But when I went and bought the yarn, I asked the person if I needed to turn it into a ball that, or, you know, could I just work from the skein? And she said, no, that's fine. You can work from the skein. But I find the more that I, you know, as it is unraveling, it keeps twisting. I don't know if you can, I end up with my yarn is all like starting to like.
Oh, interesting.
Twisted. I mean, would it be better if I had it in a ball that it wouldn't, I guess as it's coming off the skein and I'm pulling it out of the bag, it's, I mean, is that a problem as long as I just stop and straighten it as I'm knitting? I don't.
It should be okay as long as you're doing that. It looks like what's going on is that the yarn is a little out of tension right now. It's a little tightly wound. What you could do is just unwinding it and rewinding it would help with that. And the reason I'm hesitating is because I have an unwinder and a rewinder, but obviously you don't have access to that.
No, I don't. Right.
Unless you want to come over to my house sometime.
Yeah, right.
Right. So that could help. The other thing you could do is every once in a while, just like, I don't have a good demonstration for this because the camera's pointing straight down, but as if you were holding like a watch on a chain, hold up your yarn ball and just let it unwind itself a little.
Okay.
Or do that deliberately, you know.
Right. Try and untwirl the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a huge problem. That can be worked out with, you know, with the thing you're currently doing of untwisting it as you go.
Yeah.
It will cause the finished product to curl up a little bit more than you'd expect, but if it's going to be sewn to a bunch of other things and blocked, then that's not going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of squares sewn together. You're right.
Yeah, so should be fine.
I'm gonna sign off, Julie.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. I'll see you.
Done.
Oh, it's time almost. Anyway.
I'll see you not next Thursday, but the following Thursday, right?
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, Helen.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Julie, and everybody. I'm going to go too. Okay. Bye.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, and I'm signing off too. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Julie.
Of course. It's always good seeing you guys.
I'll work on my ribbing.
Awesome.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you, Julie. Good night.
Good night.